Seeing your name in print is a great feeling, whether it's your byline on an article or a journalist quoting you in a piece. But of course, placing articles in the media is also one of the best ways to increase awareness of your research, find collaborators, and make sure your work has impact. The first thing you need to do is decide which publications are going to be the most appropriate home for your story. Start by thinking about your target audience and the publications they are likely to read. Some stories will be suitable for a general audience, so research about the changing role of global leaders or how to improve team performance, for example, will have relevance to a wide audience. Other stories may be more niche and will be of interest to a smaller but very targeted audience who will probably be reading specialist publications, maybe to do with project or supply chain management, for example. The most common mistake is to send a press release or a story pitch to a long list of publications, hoping it will land somewhere. But a magazine or website won't use a story if it isn't relevant to their readers. Management Today, for instance, is unlikely to take a piece focusing on how trainers could make better use of action learning. Training Journal, on the other hand, will almost certainly be interested. Pitching to an inappropriate publication will not only waste your time, but will give that journal a negative view of you and of Hult, which might impact your ability to publish there in the future. The key to success is to get really familiar with your target publications before you send an email or pick the phone up. Building relationships with the writers and editors in your target publications can do much to increase your chances of getting an article placed. The days of schmoozing journalists over long lunches have long gone. Most publications today are staffed by very small teams or mainly written by freelancers who simply don't have time to go out and about. The best way to build a relationship is by making yourself useful. Keep your antennae out for freelance or staff writers who regularly cover stories in your area of expertise. Google them to find out about their background and interests and see what kind of articles they write. Connect with them on LinkedIn or engage with them on Twitter. A writer with whom you have some level of ongoing relationship is much more likely to be interested in covering your research than a journalist who you email out of the blue. A great way to build and cement a relationship is to become a go-to source. If you have access to research or information that the writer may find useful, send him or her a quick email. Be prepared to share useful contacts. If you can establish yourself as a useful and receptive contact who knows your stuff, your pitch is more likely to be well received. Don't waste time writing a generic article in the hopes that it will be accepted somewhere. Publications have very specific requirements around style, tone, and word count. They are very unlikely to print a piece that has been written without their specific needs in mind. Save yourself time by instead developing a compelling pitch. The pitch is for the editor or the section editor of a particular part of the publication, and it should outline the angle of your story and give a rundown of the key points you would make. If possible, offer several alternative angles. So you might offer an article on how new research highlights flaws in the way organisations manage risk. But you could also suggest an alternative approach to the subject, perhaps 5 ways your business can manage risk more effectively. The pitch should also make it clear why your story is of particular relevance to the publication's readers, what research and statistics you have to back up your claims, and if appropriate, why the story is particularly topical right now. Once you're ready with your pitch, you need to think about how you're going to make contact. Email is by far the best way to contact an editor about your story idea, unless you know the person well and feel comfortable picking up the phone for an informal chat. Make it clear in the subject line that you're sending a pitch. Your subject line, for example, should be feature idea for the entrepreneurs page of your business section. Don't attach the pitch as a separate document, it will never get read. Include it in a short email and be clear about what you are offering. Are you suggesting you could write the piece yourself, for example? Or are you putting yourself forward as an expert who can comment on a topical subject? Don't send identical ideas to competing publications. Vary the angle each time so that if you are lucky enough to get more than one hit, you can provide different material. If you don't get a response within a week, it's fine to send a short follow-up email. If you still don't get a response, it's time to look elsewhere. Editors receive hundreds of potential stories, and there are many reasons why they may not be interested in yours. They might have already commissioned something similar from someone else, or the next issue may be full, or the story isn't a good fit with their plans. This is where familiarity with the publication, and even better with the writers and editors, is invaluable. Don't get disheartened. You won't get a yes every time, but if you're targeting your ideas to the right people, you should start to get some acceptances. If you're commissioned to write an article by a certain deadline, make sure you deliver on time. Magazines work to set timelines and will not be impressed if a piece they've scheduled fails to materialise by the agreed date. If you're offering yourself as an expert interviewee, be ready to respond at short notice. If a journalist gets in touch and you can't talk immediately, just send a quick email or text to let the writer know when you will be available. If a journalist is writing a piece on deadline, they will probably call a number of experts. The first one or two to respond will be the ones who get quoted. Demonstrating that you are responsive also means you're more likely to be the person they contact first next time. Good luck with getting your articles placed in the media, and if you'd like any more help and advice, please feel free to get in touch.